We now move on
Yes.
to another thing here.
Another thing.
What was next on this show?
Well, I'll tell you what was next on the show. Smiley Roberts. Smiley Roberts was in the ring. And this began 45 minutes of pure indie wrestling delight. There were people with Cheeto stained fingers and sweaty jowls and potential boils on their perineum. They were literally pleasuring themselves for the next 45 minutes when all the kids got to come out and play and have fun. And Smiley set the tone as the ring announcer. He's there in a goddamn dressed up suit, and he looks down in the front row, apparently at some child, and says, "Cover your ears," and then says, "Aw, shit." They had the ring announcer say, "Aw, shit."
He was more than happy to say it seemed.
And he's always happy. This is Anarchy in the Arena. Why did they have to have this fucking... The ring announcer say, "Aw, shit," because aw, shit. This is a warning now. Get out with your sanity while you still can. What if they had told Howard Finkel in Madison Square Garden, "Howard, go out there when you plug the next card and say, "Oh, shit, Undertaker's back." So, can you see Finkel say,
I'm trying to hear his voice saying,
"Yes."
And
oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
It's Repo Man. Oh, shit.
I don't remember if I ever heard Finkel say the word shit.
Whose idea was it? Was it Justin Roberts like, hey, boss, I got a great idea. Is it okay if I do this? Or was Tony like, listen, I got a great idea.
Yeah.
It came to me at hour 47 of my 4 days up, and here's what it is.
Well, anyway, they started the entrances. And here came Swerve out. And now he's wearing some kind of science fiction costume. Was that some recognized character, Brian? Or is he just they're spending some of their extra money. Everybody's got a science fiction fucking outfit now. Did you recognize it from any pop culture, anything? Or did you pay any attention?
I didn't really pay attention to his outfit as he came out.
What about him as
their big
science fiction?
Thing. This is their big thing. This is like, their Grammys. Their Anarchy in the Arena. So that's the night you get dressed up. That's the night you go out and you get your finest shoes and suit and...
But what about Swerve's gimmick is the most dangerous man in AEW and that he does all these horrible things? What about it as science fiction? What part of him is supposed to be in a video game? But then here came Willow, dressed like Plowgirl Frazier. And that's when I realized the girls are in this match too. And of course, since they never really actually all appear in the same place at the same time, you can't really tell who's on whose team. But the girls, allegedly, till the end, were going to fight each other. But yeah, so this most dangerous match in the history of all danger, everybody comes dressed up in funny costumes, and girls can play too. And then when Hobbs and Shapoopy came out, Samoa Joe was introduced, but he didn't come out. And actually, when the other two walked out, the people were chanting for Joe, 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 Joe. He didn't show up. He comes out later on when the fight starts. And then here came Kenny. And he came out with a garbage can, which was apropos. And the garbage can lid was painted like Captain America's shield, but with his insignia on it. And it's Halloween for all these kids. They've always dreamed of doing this. And now they have found a guy with unlimited amounts of money that will let them play like they always wanted to. And then here came Dick the Boozer and Wheeler Useless and Claudio and Marina Schaefer. They made their stagger through the crowd. And then, of course, because the EVPs are involved, they've even got more pull than everybody else. They not only get to wear funny outfits, but they get to be able to tell the ring announcer to do their own ring introduction, and they get their own silly music. And they play it's the fife and drum music because it's Memorial Day, and there's silly verbiage that's supposedly comedy, but it's not funny. But they get a kick out of it. The crowd doesn't react. And after they joke with the funny music and the overdone introduction about how these people are our founding fathers, the Buckaroos walk out dressed like Benjamin Franklin or like Jerry Seinfeld in the puffy shirt episode. And nobody cares. They're wasting minutes on this. This is this whole hokey outlaw bullshit match is the idea of these little jackoffs from Cucamonga to get attention and do anything that their little hearts can desire and think of to do because the mark is paying for it all. That was originally thought of to be the ultimate mud show bullshit to make up for and hide their shortcomings, that they can't work and they can't put matches together and they can't sell tickets on their ability. So we'll just throw a bunch of fucking bullshit out there and it'll be a spectacle and people will watch the car wreck and we can take credit for that. But now they're parodying their own parody. They're making fun of the thing that they came up with to make fun of the business and bilk the billionaire money mark. Tony not only pays for this shit, but has to pay to put it on television. And they're just jacking around
and pay for
the music. I think it's 5 times the limit before you have to pay a significant more amount in rights fees. But so they do 12 minutes of entrances. And then the baby faces jump started. Imagine that in the entranceway. And they go to a quadruple box, not a double box, not even a triple box, a quadruple box. Brian, I have an 82-inch television. And I couldn't tell what was going on in 4 different pictures at the same time especially because they were just using 4 different camera angles, but that didn't mean that the camera that was trying to shoot whatever scene was going on was able to catch it because they obviously hadn't blocked this thing in a professional basis. It was like, yeah, we're going to go over there and do that, and you just shoot it. So it was all over the fucking place. Joe and Claudio go out to the parking lot. They're still playing the fife and drum music. The girls are fighting each other on the floor. And then Kenny's got to be funny. And so he gets on the microphone or signals to change the music, and they start playing, "I'm so excited." And then Kenny says, no. We want some 2000s alternative rock. And they play Let the Bodies Hit the Floor 5 times through from that point on, stopping and starting it over again. Tellingly, when the music stops in between till they can re-rack it and start it again, there's usually no goddamn noise in the building. Because it sounds from my description like a lot was going on, but it's fake looking shit that you couldn't see or follow, not involving the ring. Everybody walk fighting everywhere. And that's where the group of a dozen or so security guys came in, because they would go from place to place and then stand there in a tightly packed a group for somebody to jump off something into them. And then that's where Moxley was. Mark Briscoe bled to the point where you thought he'd need a transfusion in one of the preliminary matches. But Moxley is stabbing Hobbs with a fork in the head over and over and over, and almost nothing. And then the girls were in the parking lot. Willow, quote unquote, broke a bottle over Marina Schaefer's head and she didn't go down. Did you see that part?
I did.
She didn't go down from having a bottle broken over her head. Because they wouldn't, in the movie that they're seeing in their heads that they're getting paid by this billionaire man-child to star in. So it's supposed to be dangerous, but everything looks fake. And nobody's taking it seriously. And finally, they stopped the music. As I said, maybe they got the goddamn signal. They can't play it anymore. And then they chained Willow's ear to the ring post. And they broke some more tables, some more pile drivers that didn't hurt anybody. Marina Schaefer was bleeding, but she was beating up the guys. And as I said, the music was helping. But after a while, everybody was just staring at this shit. Because it was on and on and on. And then at one point, Nana drove Swerve out on a forklift so he could jump off of it. And then everybody got a sleeper. And then they got out of that by getting the staple guns. And Brian, unless you use it like a brass knuckle, what good is it? Why would you staple somebody if you were in a fight with them?
You know, of the whole match and all the problems you have with it and everything, this was the stuff I had the biggest problem with, the staple gun. Not only was it stupid, but it just caused Swerve Strickland to nonstop want to stick out his tongue at the camera for the rest of the match.
Yes, because this surgeon, and by the way, when we finish reviewing the roster, we get to the S's. I think I may have already kept Swerve because he was a champion, or is he a champion of something? I'm rethinking it because he's a fucking moron. He's a stupid, stupid individual because he's always doing some shit like this. He's in a blood drinking spot, or he's letting somebody here staple his tongue with a real staple gun and a real staple. And there are some weird individuals who go, oh, yeah, that's cool. No, what that is a stupid, stupid individual. And if you look up to people who staple their own tongues with a staple gun, you are a stupid, stupid person looking up at a stupid, stupid individual. It's not going to win anybody a fight. It just makes wrestling look like bite the head off the fucking chicken at the fair and get it over with. If you want to be low class, jelly Nutella, pond scum sucking sideshow freaks. But nobody used the staple gun like a brass knuckle. Everybody stapled their tongues and their titties. And then Moxley gave Willow an RKO because it's pay-per-view, so he could. And then Kenny gave Marina Schaefer that begonia suplex. But I'm thinking if Kenny did it to Marina, that can't be called man-on-woman violence, can it? In the truest sense of the word? You choose not to answer me?
I don't know why you're throwing this. I mean, Kenny's a man, she's a woman. It's man-on-woman violence.
Well, it's where their hearts lay. So then the Buckaroos double super kicked everybody, including Willow. Willow didn't go down from the Buckaroos double super kick. Of course, I could kind of understand that. It would have been unrealistic if she had. Hook showed up with a golf club and beat the shit out of Claudio with it and then walked out. Okay, thanks for coming down and throwing in your contribution.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. He came down with a golf club and just beat up Claudio because he had the chance, and plus his Uber was out back, so he needed to leave. They were running overtime. So then Joe got the choke on Moxley, and here came Gabe Kidd, the True Value Josh Alexander. I swear to God, why don't they just be a brother team? If you put fucking a bald guy of kind of a slim build and a fucking beard, put the headgear on both of them, you can't tell them apart. And he pile drove Kenny, and then Wheeler put tacks in Kenny's mouth and gave him a shitty knee lift that was nowhere near his mouth. But again, let's put thumbtacks in his mouth. Why? Is it they're both childish, and again, this is an audition for Jackass or whatever their modern version of it is. Hey, let's show everybody we're stupid people doing stupid shit on video, and people will notice us. And forever we'll be known as that stupid guy that did that stupid thing. And then Briscoe came in and dove in and fought Gabe Kidd, and the girls were back up and still fighting. And then they locked Moxley's group in the ambulance so Kenny and Swerve could beat up the Buckaroos. And then Nana gave Swerve a pair of tennis shoes with thumbtacks on the soles, so the Swerve could take time to...
That's, that'd be a great song title. That's deep. Thumbtacks on the soles.
Thumbtacks on the soles. He took his regular boots off and put the fucking tennis shoes with the thumbtacks on the soles on. And then Kenny gave the one-winged fairy to one of the Buckaroos off the stage onto an exploding table. It didn't really blow up like to kill all of them, unfortunately. But there was like a small amount of pyro wired to it so that when they landed and it broke in the middle, you could see the shit that was wired underneath it where it went pow, 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 pow. I swear to God, they literally put a fucking table wired with a minimum amount of pyro next to the stage for no other reason through the whole show than for them to jump off onto, just so they got to take a bump in an exploding table, Brian.
Yeah, of all the stupid things in the match, and again, I hate the thumbtacks, and there are things I really hate in the match. The random exploding table out of nowhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Who wired it? What is it doing there? Who put it there?
So we could take our bump onto it. But it exists for no other purpose.
Exactly what explodes? Nothing goes in the air.
So then Swerve came off the top with a double stomp on Buck number 2 with the thumbtack shoes and covered him 1, 2, 3. And then stuck his tongue out and showed everybody the staple that was in his tongue. I want to have these people had their shots. Tetanus, rabies, malaria, AIDS, whatever the random variety of communicable disease, hepatitis. So I'm rethinking if I kept any of these fuckwits involved in this. Poor Hobbs, he just lost, trying to find a friend. But I'm rethinking it if they would take part in this 35-minute match, 45 or more with entrances, self-indulgent, stupid, not good for the business, takes no talent, and they're all delusional. Did I cover all the high points?
It sounds like a 5-star match to me, if ever. Yeah, you covered all the points. We've seen them do their arena shows originally with no one there in the stadium.
Where, they're headed in that direction again.
Well, remember, Matt Hardy transported. Like, they've been doing this kind of stupid shit since the very beginning. I hate that fucking Let the Bodies Hit the Floor song. I know you used it for OVW. No disrespect to OVW. I hate that fucking song. And Kenny
had a
Omega
nice
called it
snappy.
alternative rock. That's not alternative rock in any way. What is he talking
Well,
about?
Kenny, there's a lot of alternatives to Kenny, but we had a nice snappy video to the song. We didn't play it for 20 fucking minutes straight while we were goddamn wandering around fucking throwing shit at each other.
Yeah, no, I hate it. I hated it when it came out. I hate it now. I can't pretend it's not an awful song. But this is what they wanted. Their big spectacle leading up to the big Texas show. Those dastardly heels were so foolish they all got locked in an ambulance. Why was the ambulance there? If the ambulance was there to... I guess it didn't take Briscoe out. It just... He was in there and then someone took him out.
And then they just forgot to move the ambulance.
Hey, we got it for the night. Why not just leave it here?
Yeah, it's not in the way or anything. It's a parody of wrestling concocted by, from the top down, kids who dreamed about doing this as children and all the cool things they'd get to do. And then suddenly somebody's plopped literally $500 million in front of them and said, okay, go ahead. And the actual profession suffers because of it, but we get this.
Well, Jim, before we plop along here, after a match like that, both the audience and the participants may either feel beat up or amped up. You really don't know. You may need some help getting to sleep. You may need a nice fizzy drink to fix things at the end of the night or perhaps in the middle of the day, whenever. I don't think there's any restrictions. Let's go to Jim before I mess this up. Jim, our good friends at Cornbread Hemp.
Well, Brian, I'm sure that later on you can screw that up even more. But right now, I'll tell you what. Here's what I vowed to do the other night on that pay-per-view for Double or Nothing. I said every time they have a good match, I'm going to sit and watch it intently. And every time they have a bad match, I'm going to take a sip of my Blueberry Breeze THC seltzer from the folks at Cornbread Hemp. And by the end of that pay-per-view, I had rewritten the entire Beatles White Album. Oh, boy. I thought I'd never come back to the ground. But you know what? Next day, I had no hangover because there's no alcohol. This is a THC seltzer that tastes and feels amazing. Perfect for the spring and summer. A low-calorie drink, 30 calories, 5 grams of sugar, but it's made with pure THC and all natural ingredients with no synthetics, no alcohol. And therefore, you don't get no hangover. You don't get pulled over and taken to the Hoosgow, the Crossbar Motel. It's 5 milligrams of THC in each can, which is the perfect amount for you. And it even says on the side, Brian, well, you know this because you've consumed 1 or 4 of these. You take 1 to feel this way. You take 2 to feel that way. You drink 3 to feel that way. And about 18 on that Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Of course, that was spread over the 3 days that the show happened in. Anyway, folks, again, THC seltzers. This is the way of the future, how you can relax and feel better without all of the problems that might come with alcohol. Let's just say that.
From that great soil in Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, no, it's not. The seltzer is not from the soil. It's like I got a cup of coffee.
And the CBD and everything else. It's grown.
Well, yes, but we're not just digging a well and seltzer is popping out down here in Louisville.
Oh, you said
I mean us Kentuckians, the people at Cornbread Hemp.
Like you
have a boy, they got it down, folks. I'll tell you what, whether all of the THC and CBD products and services that they offer with amazing professionalism and wonderful packaging, all carrying on the tradition of over 250 years of growing certain plant products in the state of Kentucky. And now the seltzers, the Blueberry Breeze, the Peach Iced Tea, the Raspberry Limeade, the Salted Watermelon, no hangover. You can unwind. You can kick back. You can kick out. As a matter of fact, if anybody tries to take your seltzer away, you can kick them right up under the chin. Bam. And tip up your seltzer. And we can save you money now doing it.
Yes, we can. Let's get to that.
As a matter of fact, if you buy 4 or more of these things, and you're going to get one for free or 2 for free because we can save you 30%. Now, you divide 4 into 1, and that means it's 25%. So 30% is a free one or more. You see this math. Right now, 30% off your first order and free shipping on any order over $75 when you go to Cornbread Hemp. CORNBREAD, Cornbread. The way that corn and bread that are put together is spelled. Hemp.com/JCE and use the code JCE at checkout. You're going to get 30% off your order and free shipping on orders over $75. And boy, howdy, just sit back and sip one of these and float away on a cloud of bliss.
Blueberry bliss.
Blueberry bliss.
From our friends.
Actually, it's blueberry breeze, but it could be blueberry bliss.
You'll be in a blueberry bliss, potentially. No commitment, no guarantee, but it's great stuff. Cornbread hemp from Louisville, Kentucky. One more time, Jim. What's that special link?
Cornbreadhemp.com/JCE. Use the code JCE at the checkout.